Curtains went up for the 29th Busan International Film Festival last Wednesday, and public screenings are slated to continue until its final day, that is this coming Friday. Now, receiving quite a bit of foreign media attention this year was the festival's choice of its opening film. We tell you why on Press Perspective today. Hello and welcome to our second edition of Press Perspective, a daily panel session with members of the press as well as pundits on issues of interest largely pertaining to South Korea. It's Tuesday, October 8th here in South Korea, of course, and today we touch upon the latest on the cultural front, ranging from the Busan International Film Festival, currently celebrating its 29th edition, to a short-form drama series to K-pop headlines overseas. For this, I have our reporter, Choi Jee-hee, here in the studio. Jee-hee, welcome to the show.
Hi, Sunny.
I also have Stephan Lee, an author based in the US, joining this session virtually. Stephan, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me, Sunny.
Right, we'll start here in the studio then, Chi. Let's begin with foreign media coverage of the Busan Film Fiesta, as well as the attention over the choice of its opening film.
Right. So the 29th Busan International Film Festival kicked off last Wednesday with the historical drama Uprising as its opening film. Now, this is the first time, like you said, that an over-the-top or OTT production from Netflix has received this honor. And the period war drama was produced by South Korean filmmaker Park Chan-wook and directed by Kim Sang-man. And it features Korean megastar Kang Do-won in the lead role. Now, foreign media barons reported that the film had been generating significant attention even prior to its world premiere. And this is largely due to the involvement of director Park, of course, who is best known for ultra-violent thrillers such as Old Boy from 2003, which played a crucial role in propelling South Korean cinema onto the global stage. However, the decision to open this year's Biff with a major streaming title has sparked criticism within the local cinema community. That's because although streaming-only content like Squid Game and Pachinko has significantly contributed to the rise of global visibility of South Korean stories in recent years, the festival has long been dedicated to supporting emerging talents in Asia, as well as small-scale and independent films. And also, despite some internal setbacks, such as issues with the former festival director and the slash in government budget for the festival, this year's edition presents about 15 more films than the previous year, with 86 world premieres. And it will also honor the late South Korean actor Lee Sun-gyun, who was found dead in an apparent suicide last year after a 2-month investigation into suspected drug use. And of course, we remember this sparked public outrage over what many perceived as excessive police interrogation. And also, this year's edition is screening 6 of the actor's film and television works, including Parasite, of course, directed by Bong Joon-ho, the 2019 Oscar winner, and R. Sun-hee, and a portion of the TV series My Mister, or also known as 나의 아저씨. And other notable world premieres include RM, Right People, Wrong Place, which is a documentary on K-pop sensation BTS member RM, and the making of his second solo album. And interestingly, there's also a conference which will be hosted by Biff's industry platform, the Asian Contents and Film Market, with a special focus on integrating AI in content creation, which is a controversial topic in Hollywood. Meanwhile, this festival will last until the 11th, so please do pay close attention to everything that's happening
Right,
there.
the 11th, that would be this coming Friday. In the meantime then, Stephan, what do you believe the primary interests among the foreign press with regard to this year's Busan Film Fiesta?
Well, Uprising is obviously a huge point of interest for all the reasons that Jee-hee outlined just now. But also, beyond individual titles, I think a big focus is on celebrating film itself, because lately there is such difficulty in enticing audiences to go to the theaters or even watch full films on streaming, because our attention is so divided, and there are so many different competitors for both our attention and our money. So I think festivals like Biff are so great at bringing to the fore really original films and a diverse array of interests in the film subject matter, because even though we can all be very cynical in the film industry and in the media talking about the film industry and thinking that, oh gosh, like it's so hard to get anything to be of interest that isn't a huge blockbuster, there always are the exceptions to the more cynical rule. And I think Biff is going to be has been already such a great way to highlight that there are so many great films, both with huge names and also lesser known films that are worth really coming out and, going to the theaters or turning on over the top, as we've discussed. In addition to a lot of the films already mentioned, there's a real diverse array of commercial thrillers like Bogota, City of the Lost, starring Song Joong-ki, and A Girl with Closed Eyes, starring Pachinko's Kim Min-ha. And those names will really bring people into the theaters and interest them in watching these films. And there are also films from all over the world, outside of Asia and all over, that have maybe been screened elsewhere, including Sean Baker's Palme d'Or winning Anora, which won at Cannes, and Oliver Assayas's Suspended Time. So it's a really great way to share both premieres and also films of interest from all over the world. So I think we are really focusing on kind of the future of film and the present of film. And there's just so much still left to celebrate, no matter what the kind of like popular industry sentiment might be, that, things might be on decline, but there are always exceptions. And film festivals like this are great at providing that kind of hope.
Right. Well, the diverse array of screen productions is definitely bringing big crowds to the southern port city of Busan as we speak. Now, beyond Busan Ji, I hear Olympic pistol shooter Kim Ye-ji has landed her first acting role as an assassin, no less, right?
That's
an assassin.
Right. Yes, an assassin. I'm really excited to tell you about this because I personally am a fan of this South Korean Olympic pistol shooter, Kim Ye-ji, who won a silver medal and went viral online for her charismatic performance. And like you said, has landed her first acting role as an assassin. Now, Kim is set to portray a killer in the film Crush, which is a spin-off series of the global film project Asia. And she'll be starring alongside Indian influencer and actress Anushka Sen. So this role seems to be a perfect fit for Kim, whose cold and tough demeanor has drawn comparisons to action heroes like James Bond and even John Wick. And even Elon Musk praised her, tweeting she should be cast in an action movie with no acting required. So it seems that his wish has come true. And after gaining popularity for her charismatic appearance, Kim has recently received other real-life opportunities as well, like love calls, we call them, such as a photo shoot with Louis Vuitton and a collaboration with MLB Korea as well. And she's signed with a talent agency, and her spokesperson said that nearly 20 brands have reached out to her for advertisements, and over 10 TV shows have expressed interest in featuring her. However, Kim did emphasize that despite being grateful for the public's love and all the interest she's receiving, she's a shooting sport athlete in the end and not an influencer. And so she stated that she hopes the love and interest she receives will not only benefit herself, but also the shooting sports.
Right. And so Kim Ye-ji, Stephan, will be part of a screen production called Crush by director Lee Chung-sop. Could you tell us a bit more about this production?
Yeah, so Crush is actually a short-form series that's a spin-off of a larger film project called Asia that includes actors from India, as Jee-hee said, as well as from Korea, Malaysia, Thailand, and more. And Lee Chung-sup is actually the CEO as well, in addition to being the director, CEO of Asia Lab. And it really is all about creating stories that center on individuals confronting discrimination and racial hatred and winning out over those things. And it's really bringing a Pan-Asian cast together for kind of like, separate anthology series to really highlight the diverse array of experiences all throughout Asia and Korea's place in that as well. So there will also be Thai actor Korn Chakboryak. I won't say that I'm the best with the pronunciations, as well as Malaysian pop stars and actors and just so many more. So it's as excited as we are about Kim Ye-ji. Personally, that's what I'm most excited about seeing and most curious about seeing. There's so much more within the larger film that Crush is a part of. So it's very exciting to see all of that.
Right, it really is. Stephan, the short-form drama market it's reportedly expanding. That being said, where do you suppose does Korea stand in this market?
Well, compared to perhaps dramas in certain other countries, perhaps including the States, K-dramas have a reputation for being quite lengthy, and I think people love that. But I think because people want to spend as much time in these worlds and with these characters. But there's also a market for series where you can maybe start and end them in one day. And as we're talking about with film and TV productions, perhaps having less budget sometimes, or wanting to highlight new filmmakers and new series makers, the shorter format could offer a lot more freedom and a lot more experimentation, as well as, again, less demand on attention from the audience in terms of just lengthy attention, because sadly, it's just a reality that our attention is being pulled in all sorts of different places. So our attention span might be a little bit lower in certain cases. But I think there's always, of course, room for the long, epic, grand scale dramas that we know and love. But I think shorter form and the increased market for it is perhaps a little bit influenced by social media as well. But I think there's a lot of potential to go into new territory and visit creations by new creators as well.
Right, for sure. Chi, let's now move from movies to music. What headlines has K-pop been making beyond borders?
Right, so WION, this is an Indian English language news channel that provides in-depth analysis of global issues. It recently featured a report on how K-pop has become a global phenomenon, transcending the realm of music. So the report emphasized how K-pop has mesmerized global audiences, of course, with its catchy melodies, perfectly synchronized choreography, and of course, those carefully curated aesthetics and a passionate fan base, resulting in a substantial economic influence on South Korea. So according to a report by the Korea Creative Content Agency, the export value of K-pop related products and services increased from a mere $40 million in 2003 to over $5 billion in 2018, and the figure nearly tripled in the year 2023. So this remarkable growth has significantly contributed to South Korea's GDP as well. So the K-pop industry contributed approximately 1.7% of South Korea's GDP in 2018, which is up from 0.3% in 2009. And of course, K-pop's influence is also extending beyond music to boost derivative industries as well, such as the fashion brands, cosmetics, and tourism, which are only some of these areas. And the global popularity of K-pop has, of course, significantly improved South Korea's reputation because many of the K-pop music videos, they often feature the beautiful aesthetics or the landscapes of many of the different places in Korea, as well as the trendy fashion, sparking international interest in Korean culture. And so we call them the soft power, right? This soft power allows South Korea to portray a very positive image on the global stage, attracting not just tourists, but also investors. And although K-pop faces challenges such as the very fierce, they say, competition and the training routines, its future still appears very promising as the industry continues to evolve by embracing new technologies and the influence from the global stage as well.
Right, and perhaps staying with the stellar statistics, I also hear Korea posted a substantial intellectual property surplus during the first 6 months of this year.
That's right. So this is very welcoming news as well. So as K-content is gaining popularity worldwide, this of course includes movies, TV shows, and music, South Korea achieved its highest ever trade surplus in music and video copyright transactions with other countries in the first half of this year. So according to the Intellectual Property Rights Trade Balance Statistics, which was released by the Bank of Korea on the 25th, the intellectual property rights trade balance for the first half of this year recorded a surplus of $140 million, which is approximately 186 billion won. Now, the intellectual property rights trade balance, it's just a very fancy way of saying whether a country made more money selling its ideas or spent more money buying other countries' ideas. So when a country like South Korea this time has a surplus, it means their ideas are selling well and are popular around the world. Now, while the surplus has decreased compared to the second half of last year, though, it has successfully turned around from the deficit, which was negative $190 million in the first half of last year. And notably, the surplus in the music and video sector of cultural and artistic copyrights set a new record for a half-year period. And the Bank of Korea explained that this is due to the significant export of Korean content to overseas online video streaming platforms, or the OTT we've been talking about. And by country, South Korea achieved surpluses with China and Vietnam, while recording deficits with the UK and the US.
Right, then borrowing Jee-hee's metaphor, Stephan, while we sold ideas overseas, on a sobering note, Korea noted its first decline in K-pop album export value during the first half of this year in almost a decade. Now, given this reality, some are saying the K-pop bubble is bursting. What are others saying, Stephan?
Well, I do not think that this is cause for long-term concern, and I certainly don't think the K-pop bubble is bursting. But in entertainment, there's just so many fluctuations, year to year, month to month. It's very susceptible to trends, or really, and this is what I think it has been, is just the schedule of releases. There might be some larger releases in one year versus another. And for instance, we know in 2025, there's a very good chance that BTS will return. So that will change things just on its own. But really, I don't think that there's some larger pattern that is pointing to decline. Just anecdotally, from my own experience, I recently wrote a cover story for Elle magazine in the US of Lisa from Blackpink as she got ready to release her second solo album. And for it to be the cover on the September issue, which is for a fashion magazine, the most important and biggest major issue, it really is a indicator that K-pop is popular and people do spend in the US on K-pop and looked at stars as major influencers. And I think judging the trends of K-pop as a whole by album exports, it's not really taking into account K-pop merchandise, for instance, and which I think for pop music and pop stars in general, the merchandise is becoming a larger percentage of revenue and interest from the fans. And of course, there's so much loyalty from fans to K-pop all around the world. And I think that rather than just pure, widespread interest in K-pop, I think while there is that, I think the intensity and the loyalty of the fans who will show up and will support their artists and be dedicated towards it is very valuable. And I think in the States and all over the world, people who normally don't talk about or cover K-pop are very intrigued and want to take a quote unquote risk on really marketing to K-pop fans. And I think that risk almost always pays off. So I really don't think that there's a larger trend downward. And also an interesting thing is I think more and more all around the world, people aren't necessarily thinking of K-pop as something that's separate from their home country. In that, again, speaking about the States, stars like Jennie from Blackpink are just huge pop stars. And of course, it's recognized that stars like her are Korean and from K-pop, but there is just like a wider acceptance that, no, this is just an icon in general. So I definitely do not think the K-pop bubble is bursting. And I don't think too many people are saying that, actually.
Right. Well, K-pop does enjoy a solid and tangible fan base, as Stephan mentioned. And perhaps because of that, Jee, very briefly speaking, I hear a number of Korean festivals, cultural events, that is, were held in foreign countries in recent times.
That's right. In Australia and Indonesia, that is, and Melbourne in particular. They have Healy's Lane, which is also known as Kimchi Street or Koreatown of Melbourne. And they are establishing or setting up the traditional gatekeepers called 장승, with a height of 3 meters, which will be installed at the entrance of Lonsdale and Little Lonsdale. And the mayor said this has made the city stand along global cities like Toronto, Los Angeles, New York, and Sydney, where vibrant Korean towns are located. And he hopes Kimchi Street will become a new tourist attraction in the region. And also, the Consul General of Melbourne expressed optimism that the official establishment of this Koreatown will foster a closer bond between South Korea and Australia. And he's also conveyed expectations that this development will encourage more Korean businesses to thrive in the region as well. And the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in Indonesia is hosting the 2024 Korean Culture Month, or the K-Festival 2024, from September 23rd. It already began, and it lasts until November 24th. And the hope for this is to promote cultural exchange between South Korea and Indonesia, which is already quite vibrant. And Park, who's the consul, explained that Indonesia and South Korea form a complementary relationship because Indonesia has the natural resources and Korea has the technology and experience. And he also evaluated that South Korea is an ideal partner country for Indonesia to realize what's known as its Golden Indonesia 2045 vision.
Right. All right, Jee, thank you so much for that coverage. I'm afraid that's all the time we have. And Stephan, over in LA, thank you very much for joining us live at this early hour there.
Oh, thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Right. Well, that brings us to the end of our second edition of Press Perspective. Thank you for watching. Now, tomorrow is a national holiday here in South Korea, marking Hangul Day. So see you same time on Thursday.